Hello, my name is Charles Hubbard, and today I'd like to talk about my paper that I wrote in my POLS 4436 class, which is Policies of Developing Nations, or Areas. The paper I wrote today is Pan-Africanism, how Western aid has ruined the autonomy of countries in the African diaspora. Although the meaning of Pan-Africanism has changed over the years, because it's been around for so long, starting with Marcus Garvey in the early 19th century. Although it's been around for years, the concept still has a relative definition that has stayed the same, which is calling for oneness of the African diaspora, which means calling for oneness of people of African descent, whether they live in Africa, the Caribbean, America, or just, anywhere in the world. And this oneness is thought to bring Africa out of this continued dependency on Western aid, because oneness would create a bigger power to combat, obviously the giant Western powers like, America and the UK, France, etc. As we all know, colonialism has had a immense impact on, well, not just African countries, but all over the world. And it's hard to just expect these countries to develop right after colonialism, after being dependent on them for so many years, and for some even, well, centuries, almost. Yeah, exactly, in the Caribbean. After being dependent on their Western country for so long, they're still unfortunately dependent on them because of the infrastructures they set up, the very immense extractionary colonization they were ruled under, such as Haiti. Haiti gained their own independence. They fought the French off, but they're still in a cycle of dependence on these Western countries, especially France. Well, not only because of messed up debt they had to pay to France for gaining their own independence from them, for being enslaved, but also because of um, this agricultural system that has been over and over and over and over exploited from them, like cane sugar. Um, Even they grow their own rice, but they're not even able to eat the rice themselves because, well, they have to make money, so they still send rice abroad and they don't even have money to feed themselves. Moving on to tribalism. Tribalism has, obviously, culturally, it's very important, and to keep your ethnicity and to celebrate your ethnicity and your culture, but it has been detrimental towards Pan-Africanism and to growing these countries because people are so divided. And even during the slave trade, tribalism continued the slave trade. The slave trade could have been over way faster if, well, people united and wouldn't, capture one another just to sell them, to get weapons and to get um, food, or get, whatever they wanted to trade these people for. Tribalism has, time and time again throughout history, detrimented Africa and the African diaspora. Because of tribalism, well, Africa is so divided and fractured. Even if Africa isn't completely united, if regions of Africa were united, that would even ameliorate the position of these countries. Like, let's say West Africa was united, and Central Africa was united, and East Africa was united, and South Africa was united, and North Africa. It would ameliorate these countries' positions because they're not just in it by themselves as a small country, small GDP, competing against these developing, like larger developing nations or even developed nations. They're able to help set the price of what they're exporting better. Let's say these like Nigeria or even Sudan or other countries that export oil. They aren't able to regulate their prices as much as these larger countries that are like, let's say, Saudi Arabia, or Iran, or the countries that have more of a strong government they aren't able to regulate their prices as much. They aren't able to compete in the global market because they're trying to fight against these giant Western powers that have already established themselves. Versus now, if there's a collaboration of countries, let's say like the African Union was stronger, they would have a bigger voice in the international world of economy. Um, they wouldn't be looked over as much, especially in the World Trade Organization. Although Marcus Garvey has a tainted past, I do share the sentiment that Western influences, or what he said as white people, would never be able to ameliorate the circumstances for the African diaspora, or he said as black people, either economically, politically, or culturally. We need to unite in order to strive in the future, especially in this globalized world. Thank you.